Hey y'all, my name is Brady V and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are brand new here, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. This is very impromptu. So earlier today, I was actually cleaning out my closet and I found a bag full of all my old work receipts, pictures from high school. I found pictures of family photos that I haven't seen in years. I don't know where this bag came from. When I moved into my new apartment, I was just kind of like shoveling stuff in here. So now that I'm actually like calm and life is kind of calming down, I'm like reorganizing and I just found this random bag. And in that bag, like I said, I found pictures, family photos, all types of stuff. And I found my old eviction notice. Yes, y'all, I found my eviction notice from the early 2000s, and on it had, of course, my name and my roommate's name, and it reminded me of the story behind the whole eviction. And it is a wild one. It's insane. Stay tuned, keep watching. Let me tell y'all this story. So I'm on my way to a vision board party. Sorry, I don't have time to set up the tripod the right way, so I'm have to like bend down to talk to you guys. But I'm just putting on some lip gloss or some lip liner real quick. I was gonna wear a hat, but I was like, this hair is too cute. I kind of like it. If y'all want the deets, I'll put it in the description box. It's yucky, so it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's giving extremely natural. But yeah, I was gonna put a hat on, but I was like, no, this is cute. But I feel kind of plain, so I need like accessories. So thank God my friends over at Boat Cove sent me some glasses. So I'm gonna try these on. They sent me 2 different pairs. Which one do y'all like? They sent these, which I think are cute. Vibes. The party's a day party, so I could really rock these or shades. And they also sent me these, which I like as well. I don't know, y'all. Which ones are we feeling? I think I like the other ones. Yeah. These are like more of the vibe I'm going for. If you guys like these glasses, go ahead and check out my friend's Boat Cove in the description below. Of course, I have a discount code for you, and I'll see you at the party. So, as you guys may or may not know, yes, I used to be an exotic dancer a long time ago. I told my whole entire story on my channel. I'll go ahead and link it below and up here in a tag if you want to check that out first. Then maybe come back to this one or watch this one first and go back to that one. So that's the basis of this story. Yes, I used to be an exotic dancer, okay? Woo, oh my God. Also, when I was thinking about introducing this story and telling the story, I was kind of thinking like, how should I tell it? Like, what's the moral of the story? And I couldn't really come up with one. There's a few different ones in the story. So I want you guys to listen to the whole story, and then in the comments below, tell me what you got out of it. Like, what do you see the moral of the story being? Because I couldn't choose just one. All right, so here we go. So back in the early 2000s, I was fresh out of high school. The other video that I tagged that I just mentioned tells more in depth about it. So I'm not going to get too deep into how I started dancing and all that. That video tells all that. But this one is kind of just like a story time of what happened there, okay? And how it led to me getting evicted. So around this time in Cali, there was kind of like an epidemic going around. There was a lot of like, I guess what you would call like human trafficking is the proper name for it. But we just called it like pimping and pandering, right? Which is nuts. But I guess it was kind of like, it kind of sprung out of the Bay Area. If y'all aren't familiar, I'm from California. If y'all aren't familiar with California geography, California is kind of like in the shape of a bar, right? A long kind of curved bar. So the Bay Area would be at the top of the bar, and where I live, San Diego, would be at the very bottom of the bar, okay? Very different cultures, very different lifestyles. If you know anything about Cali, Bay Area culture and Southern California culture are nothing the same. But around that time, a lot of the Bay Area culture started to get infused down to the rest of Cali by way of artists like Mac Dre, Keep the Sneak. I can't even remember all of them. The biggest one was really Mac Dre, okay? And he talked a lot about pimping and, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So it had infused its way like into the culture here. And at that time, that was like a big thing down here in San Diego. So because the city that I live in is so close to the Mexican border, there's a lot of human trafficking back and forth. And then also, like I said, that was kind of like a thing out here for a minute. So it started to kind of like infuse its way like into the black culture, the young black community. All right. And it's still, it still might be a thing, to be honest. I'm old now. I'll be in the house. I don't know what's going on outside, y'all. So it might even still be a thing. I'm talking about it like it's in the past. It might still be happening. I don't fucking know. So anywho, as you can imagine, a lot of that spilled over into the strip club world. You know, we would have sometimes prostitutes coming to work. We would have pimps haggling us while we just trying to work and make our dollar. And it was a big thing. Okay, so just keep that in mind as kind of like some background of this story. Okay, so at this time I had been dancing for about a year and a half, right? So I had danced for like a total of 5 years. And I would say after about a year and a half, 2 years, where this story starts, I kind of started to get, I guess what you could kind of call like seasoned as to like the new girls and like what they were like. So the club that I worked at, it was kind of catered towards white men still at that time. It wasn't like kind of how the strip clubs are now where they got like, you know, booty popping and all that. It wasn't like that. It was more of like a gentleman's club. It was like a high class, not high class, but it was supposed to be like a gentleman's club is what they kind of tried to market it as. So because of that, they didn't hire a lot of black girls. Black girls weren't popping back then like they are now. We popping now, baby. Everywhere. Black girls is in style right now. But back then, not so much. So at the club I worked at, it was kind of considered somewhat of an honor to be a black girl that worked there because they only hired what they considered the best of the best, the prettiest of the prettiest, and of course what they thought their clients would like, and you know, what they felt like would make money. So they were really, really specific about what girls they hired, and even more specific about what black women they hired. So, like I said, I had been dancing for about a year and a half, and I remember when this girl came in. Again, this is not to shame anybody or make anyone feel bad about their life decisions or anything like that. So I will not be doing this as a shaming type video. This is just, like I said, I don't even know really the moral. I kind of want y'all to tell me what the moral is, because it's there, but I can't really pinpoint exactly what the moral of the story is. So for privacy reasons, we'll call her Alex, right? So I remember the day Alex came in. I was actually in the locker room. I don't remember the exact day, but I remember around the time she came in. And I remember when I first noticed her. I don't know if this is her first day or not, but I remember when I first started noticing her. Again, the strip club is a very busy place, especially this one. They hire probably about 300 or 400 girls because we're independent contractors. So we can come and go as we please. So they hire a plethora of women so that the club is always full no matter what. So, you know, some women work Mondays, some work Tuesdays, some work only weekends, some work day shift. They just hire a bunch of bitches so the club can be full at all times. And there's all different types of girls too. Like I know people, there's like the stereotype, like I don't know what people think. People have different stereotypes when it comes to dancers, but just know they come in all shapes, sizes, walks of life. I mean, we had wives working there. We had some people who were married to some of the bartenders and the bouncers. We had, you know, college girls who was like pre-med. Like we had girls who had regular jobs like me. At the time I worked at Nordstrom. I worked at a high-end department store, but I needed extra bread. So like I would only work on like the nights and the weekends, not even the weekday, not even the weeknights. It would be like weekends only because I just needed the extra bread. And then you did have some of the stereotypical like prostitutes, girls in there selling their bodies. You did have some like girls who were addicted to drugs. So they would be in there just literally doing drugs all night or working just so they could get enough for their fix or whatever. You definitely had some of those. It was like I said, it was 400 girls, 400 different personalities, 400 different walks of life, all types of different girls. So as I was saying, at this time, about a year and a half in, I could just kind of tell like who was who. I could tell by their bag. I could tell by their nails, their hair upkeep. I could tell by their jewelry, their shoes, their lingerie. I could literally point out like, okay, she's a college girl, or she's married, or she's just here for, she'll only be here for 2 weeks, or she works at another club, or she's a prostitute, or she's a drug addict, or I could just tell after a while. So when this girl came in, Alex, we'll call her for the sake of privacy, I knew. I knew that she was either had been a prostitute before or was at currently, just by her demeanor. Like she came in and she was just like really to herself, really quiet, very dingy, very, very dingy, very green, very, you know, just like, I could just tell. And again, I was so used to it at that time, I didn't judge. Everybody was there just trying to make their dollar. So, the first, I say, month or two, she didn't even really faze me. We never really had a connection. And then, like I said, the club only hired so many black girls. She was a black girl. So you guys can get a visual. Do you guys, I don't know if you guys know or have heard of Love Your Natural here on YouTube. She has a YouTube channel. And it's funny because every time her videos come up, it reminds me of this girl, the girl Alex. I'll pop a picture in so y'all can have a visual of what Alex looked like. She reminds me so much of Love Your Natural. So much of Love Your Natural. But she was a cute girl, really, really cute girl. Short, you know, banging body. We all had banging bodies. We was dancers, you know what I'm saying? But like she was just a cute girl, but just very weird. She kind of had a weird demeanor. Not for her to be so beautiful. She didn't have confidence. She wasn't like outgoing. She just seemed like me. She just seemed troubled. I'm an empath. I can pick up. She just seemed troubled. And again, like I said, we didn't judge. So I was just like, whatever. So I would say maybe about like 6 months in, after she had been there for like 6 months, like I said, there's only a small group of black girls. So we kind of click up, kick it together, you know, exchange numbers before work. We'll call each other like, hey, I'm about to get a bottle. What y'all want to drink? You know, share bottles. Or if black guys came in the club, like a big group of black guys, we would kind of tell each other like, hey, it's niggas outside. Like, get dressed. If we were in the locker room chilling too hard, we'd be like, hey, it's niggas out there. Let's go make this money. You know what I'm saying? So we kind of have like a little, within the strip club, the black girls kind of had like a little clique. We just kind of, you know, clicked up. So I got to know her a little bit more. And she was cool. And we actually found out that we had some mutual friends. Like we kind of ran in the same circles outside of the club. So I remember one night, I remember this night, I remember it clearly. It was the end of the night. Everybody was counting up their dollars. We're tired. It's 4 a.m. We just want to go home. You know, you know, it was the end of the night. I think it was a good night, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm in a good mood, you know. And I remember she kind of whispered. She was like, Rady, can I spend the night at your house? At the time, I had a 1-bedroom apartment across the street. If you're from San Diego, you're going to know exactly where I'm talking about. It was right across the street from what we call the 2-story McDonald's. There's a 2-story McDonald's in San Diego. It's like a really popular landmark. Anyway, I lived right across the street. I had a 1-bedroom apartment. She goes, you know, Rady, can I spend the night with you? I really don't want to go home. And it was kind of like those say less. It was kind of like those say less. Like I said, I had kind of got more familiar with her at this time, but I didn't know too much about her. But I just knew. I could tell. You can tell by who's picking you up after the club. I could just tell that she had a pimp or was in that lifestyle or something of that nature. So when she asked me, could she spend the night with me, I kind of looked, because I don't do that. Even now, if y'all know me, any of my friends watching this, y'all know I don't do that spend the night, come live with me shit. I don't do that. I love my privacy, especially at my home. Like, my home is my little sanctuary. I don't invite people over like that. I don't do the slumber party, sleepover, come stay with me. I don't do that. But anyway, so when she asked me, I was very reluctant. But again, it's 4 a.m. You know, I could just tell that she did not want to go back to wherever she lived. And she wasn't no threat, you know. So I was like, you know what, sure, you can stay a night with me. She's like, oh my God, thank you. She didn't have a car, so of course, you know, we rode home together, whatever. So I remember she had stayed like one night, and then she said, do you mind if I stay again? I can pay you. You know, I was like, yeah, sure. I think she gave me like $40 to spend the night again. And like I said, she didn't have a car, so at this point we were like riding back and forth to work together. So after you know, the first 3 or 4 nights, she just ended up staying with me. She never went home. We worked out an agreement, you know, for the rent or whatever. And I was like, you could just stay here. Again, it was a 1 bedroom. So she was in the living room. I was in the bedroom. And she was cool. And we worked at the same place. And that's kind of all she had going on. Again, I worked at Nordstrom in the daytime. So she would just sleep in the day or whatever. I don't know what she did. And then I would go to work. Then I'd come back and take me a little nap. On the weekends, on the weekdays when I wasn't working at the club, I would go drop her off. She would take a taxi home because it would be 4 in the morning and I would have to get up for work. But on the weekends, we would ride to work together, you know, work, make our money, and then ride back home together. So it worked out. It was a cool, and I was, you know, I was saving on rent. So it kind of worked out. So after about 6 months of us doing this, of course, I got to know her more. I got to know her story, and my suspicions were confirmed. She was actually dealing with a pimp, you know, before she got with me. She had told me that she was, you know, caught up in the life. And that's what they call it, the life. But I didn't judge. I don't care, girl. Okay, whatever. We all got demons. We all got shit we're embarrassed of. I don't fucking care. You ain't in it now, you know. You're dancing. You're on your own. You're independent. And you can stay here and it's all good. And she was like, thank you, Rady. Oh, my God. Blah, blah, blah. So after about 6 months, we had like a well-oiled, like, you know, routine going. It was great. It was fine. I was saving money. You know, she was cool. No issues. She didn't, you know, she followed the house rules. I think one time I kind of had to go bad. I think one time I had to like go off on her because I could tell that she was doing, I don't know if it was doing drugs. I mean, we all did drugs in the club. Again, watch my other story. I'll talk about it. But one thing about me, I wanted to make clear with her was that I have my club life and who I am in the club, then I have my home life. It's 2 totally different people. When I'm in the club, I'm turned up, drunk, whatever, woo, woo, woo. But when I come home, like, this is my place of peace. This is my place of solitude. Like, don't bring none of that shit here. And she started kind of doing that as far as, like, she was just doing stuff that I had to let her know. And I only had to let her know once, and she straightened up. She got it. And I was like, okay, yeah, I can fuck with that. Like, I fuck with you. So like I said, after about 6 months, she's like, hey, Rady, you know, what would you think about getting a 2-bedroom in this same complex, but a 2-bedroom so I could have my own space, you know, because I like living with you. You know, it works. This roommate situation is working, which it was. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, that's cool. That way you can have your own bathroom. I have my own bathroom. And we could have kind of like our personal space. Because at the time, like I said, she was kind of living in the living room. And I was like, you know what? She's been paying me half of the rent every month on time. She's clean. Like I said, I only had to remind her about the house rules once. And she was on the straight and narrow. Like, it was a good situation. So I was like, you know what? Sure. So we ended up switching over to a 2-bedroom in that same complex. Everything was working out fine. But then, see, the strip club, or really any, like, I guess, cash-based business kind of like that, it has seasons. So I remember the club had went through like a bad season where like people weren't really coming in. The men weren't really spending money like that. It was a rough season. But again, I had something to fall back on because I still worked. And then I had another little hustle I was doing. I've always been a hustler. Always been a hustler. I had 2 little hustles I was doing already. So I was straight as far as rent. But, you know, we wasn't racking up like we usually do. And I know her, that's all she kind of had going. So she still had to make rent. So I started noticing her behavior kind of changing a little bit. Like, she would like leave for like long periods of time. And I'm thinking, she grown, she probably got a boyfriend, whatever. It ain't my business. But it started getting like longer and longer and longer periods of time. So I remember one time, at this time, there was 2 other girls staying with us. Because like I said, the club had dried up. People was getting evicted left and right. So I had let 2 other girls, it was like a total of 4 of us staying at that apartment at the time. And it helped because it was less rent on us. So we were splitting the rent times 4. So I remember 2 of the other girls, we were all friends. We're still all friends, which is crazy. To this day, we're still all friends, except for that Alex, the girl in question. So anyway, I remember like, we were like, where is Alex? Where's Alex? So we started calling her, and she would not answer our phone. We're like, Alex, where are you? And again, she was kind of ditzy, kind of dingy. And she'd be like, I'm fine, guys. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. And we know her. At this time, she had been living with me for like a year. You're not fine. I could tell by her voice she was not fine. Something was wrong. I'm like, where are you? Where are you? Like, so it was just like a kind of a bad season for everyone. She was going missing and popping up. Two of the other girls, like I said, that stayed with me. One of them, I don't know what happened to her. Actually, I think it was actually 5 of us staying there because one of the girls kind of disappeared. I don't know where she went off to. 2 of the other girls had ended up getting their own apartment in that same complex. And then I had actually ended up getting pregnant. So, of course, I couldn't work. And then when I get pregnant, I have this thing called, I think it's called like hypermesis something. Anyway, it's this condition that only like 4% of pregnant women get, to where I'm throwing up 15, 16 times a day. I'm super weak. There was even times I remember where I had to like crawl to the kitchen just to get food. Like I was so weak. So of course I wasn't I wasn't dancing anymore. And I had even quit working at Nordstrom. So I remember one day I was actually really concerned. So I asked the other 2 girls, like I said, who had ended up moving out and getting their own spot in that complex, like, Alex is gone. Like, I can't find Alex. So we're calling. And finally somebody answers her phone. But it's not her. It's not Alex. And it was like a dude. Like, you could tell he wasn't from Cali. He had an accent, like kind of like a southern accent. And we were like, hello? And he was like, she good. Stop calling her phone. Like, basically. And as soon as I heard his voice, as soon as we heard his fucking voice, I already knew what it was. I was like, this girl is with a pimp. She's lost. Like I said, she was real dingy, y'all. Sweet girl, but she just wasn't the sharpest. So I kind of felt like I had kind of taken her under my wing. Like, she was like my baby sister, and I had felt protective of her because she didn't really have much family. I think she had grew up in the foster system, and she just wasn't close. I think she was close with like her grandma, and you know, grandmas can't really keep track of you know, all that ripping and running. So she was just a lost soul. She was a lost soul, and I was one of the stronger friends of the group, so I kind of took her under my wing. So I kind of felt like responsible for her, if that makes any sense. Not really, she was a grown woman, but I knew her situation. I knew she didn't really have anybody. I knew what she was running away from. So I felt like, I don't know, on like a subconscious level, I felt like it was my duty to kind of like protect her. So when I heard this man's voice, I already knew. I was like, he got my friend. I was like, he got her. Like, he got her. And he was like, she good, leave her alone, whatever. So we're going back and forth with this guy. Like, can you tell us where she is? You know, like, she has rent to pay. Mind you, all her shit was still there. She didn't have an overnight bag. Everything, she didn't own much. You know, she didn't have much. But everything she owned was still there. She had a bedroom set, I think, still there that she was paying on. At this time, she was gone for maybe like 3 weeks. We hadn't heard from her. So we started to get worried. Again, she didn't have family, so we knew they weren't going to be reaching out for her. So it was kind of our duty to find her. Me and the other 2, you know, 2 girls, 2 other black girls that worked at the club. Like I said, we're like a little clique. So we're like negotiating with this dude. Like, every now and then he would answer the phone. Sometimes he wouldn't answer. So when he did answer, we would all be like, oh shit, he answered. And we'd be like, hey, we're Alex's friends. We're just worried about where she is. Can you please tell us where he is? And he would like, he would get rude and like cocky. He had kind of like the demeanor of like Scar from like Lion King. Like, just that cocky like demeanor, like, she's with me now. Like, oh God, we just knew she wasn't safe just by how he was talking. We hadn't even heard her voice. All communication was through him. So we knew that she was probably being, you know, prostituted, but we just wanted to talk to her, like, make sure that 1, she wanted to be there. 2, she was safe. And 3, like, are you in America? Are you still in San Diego? Like, where are you? So finally, he ended up telling us that I think she was in Miami, and that we could see her one more time before I guess she's gone for good. So he had actually met us across the street. I'll never forget this day. It's crazy I remember this because I got a horrible memory. He actually gave us like a time to like meet him across the street at the 2-story McDonald's. And he pulled up in like, I think it was like a Rolls Royce. If I'm like a Rolls Royce Phantom, if I wasn't mistaken. It was light green. I'll never forget. It was like baby blue or light green. And when I saw him, he just looked so dark, y'all. He looked like the worst scum of the earth you could ever see. I knew he was from Miami because he had like the Miami dreads. He had them like tied up. He was skinny, tall, dark skinned. And he was just looking at us like, I think he wanted us to see, like, yeah, she with me now. Look what she rolling around in. Like, she in a Rolls Royce Phantom. Like, y'all need to come get with the program. He was like, you know, politicking. That's what they call it, I guess. I don't fucking know the words anymore. But he was like, basically, like, wanted us to see that she's in good hands with him, the pimp. So I remember we saw her. She came and got some of her belongings. She was quiet. She wasn't saying nothing. And we were like, Alex, like, are you okay? Like, and she's like, yeah, I'm fine, y'all. Like, just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. And as a grown woman, we kind of had to just leave her alone. So I was like, what about rent? Like, are you gonna pay it? She was like, yeah, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. And he was like just standing there, like waiting for her to come back down. I saw her for maybe 10 minutes. She grabbed some of her shit and left. Y'all, this was over 15 years ago. To this day, I have never seen her again. I have never seen that girl again. I know she's alive because, you know, there's other girls who've reached out to her and stuff like that. But yeah, we ended up getting evicted because, like I said, I was pregnant. I couldn't work. You know, it was bad, man. It got so bad. This actually what led me to stop dancing. It was just chaotic. Yeah, y'all, like, I know she's okay because we have friends who still reach out to her, but she won't reach out to me. Again, in California, after 7 years, an eviction is wiped off your record anyway, so I'm not even upset about it. This was years and years ago. This is not even on my record anymore, but it's just funny because when I was cleaning up and saw this paperwork, it just brought this story back to mind. But yeah, y'all, she last I heard, she was, you know, working the street, prostituting or whatever the word they use for it, being human trafficked in Miami for a long time. So yeah, I don't know if she's still with that guy or what happened, but y'all, that's the story. Let me know what the moral of the story is. Y'all kind of see how I was kind of like confused as what the moral was. I don't know the moral of the story. Help me out, y'all. It's just crazy. Like, life is crazy, but everything happens for a reason. And I'm 100% sure that shit like this led me to, like I said, join the Navy and change my life and go to school. My life is so different now. And I'm glad that God kind of stepped in and shook my life up. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the story, make sure to subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Yeah.